living in a dream world!
Good. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better.
At some point in our lives, I think most of us have had dreams, have had goals, aspirations we all wanted to achieve at some point or another. And then set goals, we kind of gave up halfway, or we stopped for whatever reason. Maybe something petty, maybe something big happened. It doesn't really matter. But we all have had goals in our life that we ultimately just kind of dropped for one reason or another. Like for me, for example, when I was younger, when I was back in high school, middle school, a few years ago, I was a violinist, I was a guitarist, I used to be really big into playing guitar. And then after I graduated, my passion for just kind of like faded into obscurity. Do I want to get back into it? Yes, I absolutely would want to get back into it, but what's stopping me? I think it's kind of the fear of judgment. Most people are afraid to get judged for like their passion for stuff that they really want to do, and that happens because we're all human. At the end of the day, we all judge each other, and like, yeah, that affects people to a certain degree, and to others it may not. Now, why does this matter? Well, in today's video, we're going to be talking about Beat in Motion, which is actually kind of it's an interesting manga because it's really realistic, like in the sense that I know I said a lot about most series, but let me get to the point. Like, this series just feels really down to earth. It really feels humane. It's one of those series that absolutely needs an anime to convey its message, because the way it's written, the way like these characters are portrayed, you can kind of relate to all the characters, all the goals, all their problems, all their aspirations, in one shape or another. It's very much relatable, like just kind of realistic. Like the way the characters are written is something like you or me can actually kind of relate to. It's like I can put myself in the shoes of either one of the protagonists and feel like, oh, I'm super popular, but I don't really have that many goals, or oh, I'm kind of a loser, but I have many goals. Like, you can put yourself in the position of the shoes of these characters, and it's just really good. Like from the beginning of the story to like the story that we're currently at, it's really good. Like the pacing, to me, in my opinion, is very, very genuine. It's not very too fast paced, but it's also not very slow. Like the first few chapters are probably by far my favorite. Now, this is an ongoing story. It's currently at 26 chapters or 24. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I binge read this entire series. It's pretty short. If you binge read it, it might take you like a few hours, maybe like 3 hours max if you take your sweet time to do it. But to me, one of the reasons I like this story is the fact that it talks about like regrets and like hopes, dreams, and promises. Like our main character, he started off as an animator. He started off as being an artist until one day someone made fun of him and said, "You're a bad artist." And that kind of got to him, because when someone says you're bad at something, sometimes you're going to take it pretty personal. And aside from that, he ended up becoming a musician. So he transitioned from being a certain artist to a different artist. But as the years go by, he's not that very good. He doesn't really see himself doing anything worthwhile. He doesn't see his band that he's currently playing like going anywhere. He has a favorite artist that like inspires him, but it's not until he like encounters Nico at this random bar and motivates him. Hey, if you want to be someone better, then do something. Motivate yourself. No one's gonna motivate yourself around you. Like the best motivator is sometimes yourself. Like failure is the best motivator. And that kind of gets to our main protagonist, Tatsuko, or Tatsu. We'll call him Tatsu. I forgot his name, but that kind of gets to Tatsu, and it like remotivates him. It re-energizes him into being an artist. So we see this story how music and art, they coincide into something really spectacular. Like each chapter just feels really refreshing. Like some of the art panels, some of the panels while reading this just kind of gets you, especially if you're reading this while listening to lo-fi music or music in general while reading this. It just feels like such an experience. To me, this is a manga, like when it gets animated, I know it's gonna be really, really good, because this way the story handles itself, it talks about the animation in a way that if you're an animator, if you're an artist, you can kind of relate to like our main character, like his struggles with trying to perfect art, trying to be different from other people, while at the same time, if you're a musician, you can relate to our character Nico. Like, she's a very popular musician, but she doesn't really think too highly of herself. Like, she may not be the best, she's pretty good, but she's not the best out there. So she kind of sometimes degrades herself, sometimes like belittles herself into thinking I could be better, but I don't know how. Like, I could always be better. And seeing the dynamic between Tatsu and Nico, like, these characters, it's just really good. Their dynamic just kind of reminds me, like, how should I say this? It kind of gives me like, I can't remember, maybe like Kaguya and Shirogane type of vibes, but not really. That's the closest comparison. But I just really enjoy the dynamic between these two characters, because it feels something like fresh, it feels something new, something like two young adults, two like 19-year-olds would think of. It's something that I honestly felt when I was like in the age of the characters. Like, I was still pretty young, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, I didn't know what was gonna happen next. And to put into perspective like how these characters feel, their struggles, their like opinions, their hopes and regrets, like their goals, it just feels something really good. Like, this is, to me, is a series that kind of like reflects the soul, that it's just really damn entertaining. Like, it's a good series. Like, the art, everything about, there's like moments that just kind of have you like, I really want more, I really want more. And waiting weekly for this series kind of sucks, because when you catch up to it, you want more. Like, you absolutely want more. And what kind of sucks about this is I don't really see too many people talk about this story, this manga. Sure, it's pretty short, it's kind of a slice of life, but it is really good. By far one of my favorite manga that I've discovered. It's just one I highly recommend people. So if you're interested in reading something slice of life, something that's gonna get to you at the heart, whether you're an artist, a musician, whether you're someone who doesn't know how to follow your own goals, whether you have hopes and dreams, absolutely read this, because Beat in Motion is a story that interweaves and interconnects these two characters, and as well as the other characters in the story. It is such a good read. And what I really enjoy about this story is the fact that both characters, we get to see like their viewpoints from Tatsu and from Nico. Like, they each have their own story arcs. Sometimes we'll focus on Tatsu, sometimes we'll focus on Nico. It is such a good story. It's something refreshing when you get to see both sides of a coin just be explored. You often don't get to see that in like too many manga, anime series, where like characters are reflected, they have their own personal goals. Like, half the story is dedicated to one character, half the story is dedicated to another character. Like, hell, in the current arc that we're at, we've been focusing mostly on Nico. We haven't seen too much of Tatsu, and I really want to see these two characters interact again, because anytime they're on page, on screen, it's always fun. You always know something exciting is gonna happen. But that's just my thoughts on Beat in Motion. It's a manga that you will love. Anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next one.